A descendant selector gives you a lot of control over how specific you can be when targeting a particular element or object within the page. In this example, what we're going to do is create a descendant selector to target this H2 element. Now, as you know, we've already created an H2 rule targeting any HTML element. However, we can get really specific with these descendant selectors and specify that we want to target H2 elements, but only when found within other types of elements, in this case, the div element. Let's just quickly come back to the code view. I'm going to select deserts right here. Once we're in the code view, you can see that deserts happens to be within this div element. So right now we have a global H2 selector saying anytime that there's an H2 element within the document, have it appear this way. But now what we can do is say that we want to target an H2 element, but only when it's found within a div element or when it's found within an element that's being controlled by the ID deserts. So we have a lot of different options here, but let's just go ahead and take a look at the most basic example. What I want you to do is come over to the CSS designer and highlight style. Then what I want you to do is create a new CSS selector. And what we want to do is create one that doesn't necessarily target the ID deserts, but instead targets a div element. And any time that there's an H2 element within a div, we'll have it take on certain styling characteristics. So I'm going to go ahead and press enter or return to accept this. I'm just going to come over to the text section and I'm going to change the color to something else. I'll change it to green. You'll notice instantly that this H2 element has been changed to this green value. You'll also notice that it's taking on all the other styling characteristics of our previously defined H2 selector. And this is where the cascade comes into play. So if we want it to look completely different, we have to come in and assign different values for all the properties that we assign to our original H2 rule. So here we have a very specific selector. It's called a descendant selector, and it will override any conflicting values or properties of previously defined rules. I hope that makes sense, but as we begin to work more and more inside of Dreamweaver, working with these different types of selectors will certainly begin to make more sense.